If you are a softball or baseball player and you want more power, faster bat speed, and higher exit velocity, Swing Dynamics is the program for you. Rob Cruz has just released his Swing Dynamics Bat Speed Training Program. The system comes with 4 custom Pro Maple bats, online training videos, a mobile app, pregame, preseason, and off-season bat speed programs, and more. To learn more about Swing Dynamics, log on to www.complete.game. That's www.complete.game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Transcending Sport podcast, aka the Rob Cruz podcast. And I have a special guest for today's show. Her name is Dr. Jacquie Reiser. Feels kind of strange calling her doctor, but since I've known her for so long.
Jacquie, 14.
Jacquie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, this is great. So what I wanted to do was, I don't always get the opportunity to talk to former students. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I've had people on the show that I've worked with, like maybe they play professional softball and I've worked with them. So that's not the same thing as like watching someone grow up.
Yeah. Oh my God, I feel so old. Get away. It's so true though.
And then getting an opportunity to like catch up. You know,
yeah,
we haven't really caught up in a while, but we're catching up in real time. We're catching up live with like a whole bunch of flies on the wall, listening to it catch up. And so this is great because you're a doctor now in the chiropractic field, in the chiropractic space. Mm-hmm. Congratulations on that achievement. I'm sure that was not easy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And great. I want to give everybody just a sense of, I want to give my audience, I'm introducing you to my audience, and hopefully this will not be your last time on the podcast. But when I have someone on the podcast for the first time, I like to introduce you to the audience so they can kind of get, develop some sort of connection with you. So I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, just kind of going back to Jacquie, little girl, Mayapack kid, running around Mayapack, New York, trying to figure out life, sports, friends and things like that. So what was it like growing up, Mayapack, New York? Let's take us back as far as you want to go.
Yeah, man, when did I move to Mayapack? When I was in second grade. My dad owns a 4-family apartment building in Mayapack, New York, and I used to live in, where do I live? In Carmel. And my parents, no offense to Carmel at the time, it wasn't the best school system. Mm-hmm. So they moved us to Mayapack, and then my parents bought a house. And I don't know if anybody knows about like the suburbs of New York. That's not New York City, but there's quite a few. I live in Putnam County, and there's no sidewalks in Putnam County, New York. Right. But if you go like the Westchester, which is like 30 minutes away, there is. But it was great. Small town vibes. Snow, lots of snow. I live in Austin, Texas now, so I'm not used to that anymore. But it was a good place to grow up. There wasn't much to do in terms of like you would go to the mall and hang out with your friends, It was a good small town vibe, to be honest, and just a kind community. The best pizza you'll have, in my opinion, besides going down New York City. But it was really good. I had a lot of good group of friends. Yeah.
So what was it like in the Reiser house? Mom, dad, siblings?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, I have an older brother. He's actually an engineer now. Okay. And my mom and dad. My mom's a nurse. Yeah, you know my mom very well. She ran shit. Excuse me. She ran the Western Medical Center. Yeah, she ran that up and down. Yeah, she was a really big deal, and it was really cool to see that too because I always looked up to my mom and that female empowerment. Oh my God! Like I would go to work with her sometimes, and it was a little strange. You don't go to work with your mom when she's a nurse at a hospital, but I did, and I would just watch her control people in a good way, and the way people viewed her as a leader too was very inspiring, and she was always great for her staff and all the other nurses.
So you had the opportunity to witness a female, a woman who was your mom, in a leadership power position, in the health field at an early age.
Yes, 100%.
So how'd that influence you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew I always wanted to go into healthcare in some way, whether it was being a physical therapist, maybe a strength and conditioning coach, to now what I am, a chiropractor. Just seeing the way she took ownership of her job, number one. But two, the way she commanded leadership as well, and the kindness she brought with it, because there's a difference between being kind, strong, and empathetic. And my mom had all three of those. And especially the empathy part. A lot of people don't know how to be empathetic, especially when you work in a hospital, right? But my mom brought empathy everywhere she went, and she could really resonate with people. And even on the softball field, she would just be sitting there, and it was amazing the way this woman could connect with people. She would just be talking to someone, and they would just tell her whole life story and just be crying. Meanwhile, we're playing a softball game. It was awesome. So it was really inspiring to watch. And I mean, she's a huge part of who I am today, not just from watching her and what she's doing, but oh my God, she gave up so much to, drive 3.5 hours to New Jersey to softball practice, to take me all over the country. She came to my games at Michigan State. Like, she did so much for me. And so did my dad too, 100%. But my mom, like, it was her thing. It was our thing, we say.
That's the thing. So I want to go back. I'm going back as you're talking. And I don't want to lose my place because I wrote down some notes on what you said. You said something very, very profound. You said something very profound. You said that your mom had these three things: kindness, strength, and empathy. And I want to dig into that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's dig into that.
And because those are three things that a lot of times, a lot of people have a hard time balancing. The kindness with the strength, because most people view kindness as weakness.
Yeah, 100%.
And they think they can just roll over you. but so, people that are quote unquote bosses have this, some people at least, in their mind have this thing where if I'm a boss, I should be able to boss you around. But, and according to you, your mom was not that way. And I don't see her as being that way either.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my mom too.
The empathy piece, being able to feel what someone else is feeling, which is a level of emotional intelligence that, you obviously, when you're around that in your home, you learn that. When you're around people that you respect, that are actually leading you and influencing you, you learn to pick up those traits, those emotional intelligence traits. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like I was saying, like my mom could just like meet a stranger and these people would just start talking to her about their lives, right? And I didn't understand that at first. And then I realized, like, now I'll be 30 next month, which is crazy. But I realized that that's happened to me a lot, like even just with the patients I'm seeing, obviously. But like I realized that, I can just have a conversation with someone and just having them like feeling safe talking to me. There's a certain energetic field that brings. And my mom is just the perfect example of that. So, I mean, just seeing her connect with people, like anybody from, the cashier at the store to a friend's mom or her patients at the hospital. Just the empathy, right? Being able to sit with someone and listen to them. And the strength that comes with it. Like, it doesn't matter what they're saying, right? If it's good or bad, she's not interjecting, right? And it takes a lot too. And especially like her running shit stuff in the hospital, like just all 5 different units. Like I saw it firsthand, and like her staff would always come up to me, be like, Jackie, your mom is so amazing. She listens to me. She's kind. Yeah, she's the best. Like the best. But just seeing that, oh my God, like, because I've been around. I used to work with somebody. Now I have my own practice, but like just looking at that versus my mom, and just like, I'm older now, so my friends talk about their bosses and how much they hate their bosses, like, and I was like, I never worked in a situation like that, which is great. But, I look back at my mom's and I'm like, man, every single one of her nurses that worked under her always said, your mom is the best. She gives me time off when, I need to take my kids somewhere. She sits with me and listens to me. We fix problems together. And I think that was the best piece of advice I ever received without someone verbally saying it. Just watching my mom navigate her career, it's just been amazing. And I'm so lucky to have seen that. And now the woman I am is because of my mom.
So you, and I'm going to jump back and forth up and down the timeline. because I want to kind of go through a little bit of like a mini bio, right? So, but you mentioned that you used to work with someone and now you have your own practice. Well, what made you want to have your own practice? Because most people, I'm just comfortable working for someone. I get to come in, I get to go home. I don't have to think about it. I'm kind of punching the clock. Where that entrepreneurial, I can do this on my own. That's scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
But I think it really came from a young age. Like, you've known me, my God, probably most of my life since I was like 12, 13, 14. And I always had this feeling because of my story, right? Like, it wasn't easy, and I knew it was never going to be easy for anything I did. And that's just who I am as a person, I feel like. But there was just, when I was working, I was like, I really can do this on my own. Like, I would love to own my own practice, have something I create, the vision I see. You're still changing people's lives when you work with someone, right? But there's obviously, you're not going to get paid and this and that, pay the bills, right? But at one point I was like, I really think I can do this by myself. And I wasn't going to stop. And I have this, I live my life by this motto, essentially, what is resiliency, like being able to bounce up when you're brought down to your knees. And I've always lived that way from the time I was 12 to 29, right? Yeah. So it was like, I was never brought to my knees physically in practice, but I was like, no, like I could do this. It was always in the back of my mind. And then having a good support system too. I have great friends who are in this profession. My parents, I remember talking to my mom and my dad, and like, my dad's a business owner too. So he's like, it's not that easy, but it's worth it. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then I slowly started getting the pieces together, and the universe always has your back when the time is ready. And literally, it's crazy. I got it together in 2 weeks. I had my PLC formed. I had a room to rent out of another doctor's office because I just rent out a room right now, low overhead. And then I was like, I don't know when the time's coming. And then I was talking to my dad. I'm like, I think I'm going to take October off. I'll come home for a little bit, see you guys. And that's exactly what I did. I opened my practice in November. But it's always been in the back of my head because of who I am as a person, right? I'm not someone who's very passive in terms of just moving along. I'm a go-getter, always been, and always will be, right? And so it was cool how that came to be. And the idea was, let's get some experience under our belt first. Let's work with someone. And about 2 years came, and I was like, you know what? It's time. I can do this. And super confident in that. And just pull the plug, and here we are. And it's terrifying at first. I remember my first day opening up, my first patient was 10 minutes late, and I was like, shit, I don't know if this was the right move. She was late because she was bringing me
one patient late.
First patient late, right? And the best part is I didn't move. I moved to do another location in Austin. So I had all my patients come with me if they wanted to, right? That's the thing. Are they going to? My first patient was late because she was bringing me balloons. It's like, congratulations. And that's nice. Isn't that nice? But that's just a testament to your character as a human being. Like, oh, they're just as excited for you as you are. So that's how that happened.
So I want to go back to something that you said.
Yeah, for sure.
About resiliency, because I want to dig into that thing, because as a coach, right? When I see a kid, and a lot of my students, I work with them from like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 or whatever up, through and including in their college career if they play college. But I always know, and everyone defines success differently.
For sure.
We have our biases about what we think success is. For some people, success is money and a husband and all that may be their, but that might not be someone else's definition of success.
Exactly.
I think we all define it for ourselves. But I sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I even wonder what is success. Like, what is it really? But I consider you to be successful because you're doing what you want to do and you're happy.
Yes.
And I think that needs to be a part of the definition of success for everyone, right? And I'm speaking with because of where I am in my life and looking back and having lived on the planet for a certain amount of time, you kind of see things a little differently. And but what I remember about you, and I have a lot of students that were like this, is that, and all those students are successful in their own right currently. But you can, as a coach, you can see it. when they're younger who's going to be what and how much of what they're going to be. Is this person just going to be just like an average regular person, which is fine too?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Or is this person going to be exceptional at whatever they decide to do? Whether they want to be a kangaroo trainer in Australia or whether they want to be a chiropractor in Austin, Texas. Like, it doesn't really matter because whatever this person, because I can see it when they're 13, 14, 15. Yeah. And for me, it's about the level of commitment, the intensity of the commitment. And I remember a couple things. I'm going to start with this. And I don't even know if you know this or not. And your mom might remember this. And I remember the exact moment that it happened. This was right before we filmed your college video.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And she asked me, she said, Rob, do you think we're wasting our time with this softball thing? Or does she really have a chance? Yeah, did I ever tell you the story?
I don't think so. This is cool.
No. She said to me, and because that's the realness in her. Like,
for 100%. Yeah,
I'm not. If we ain't got no shot, like if we just wasting our time, I want to know. That's the boss. That's the boss in her coming out. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Because she has to be able to. She's gonna ask somebody whose opinion she respects, right? Yeah. Look, I'm pulling you to the side. Can I talk to you for a second? Do we really got a shot? Like, is she any good? I mean, not in those words, but like...
No, but it's the thing. She always said, growing up, she's like, the only sport I played was bowling because you can smoke and drink at the same time. So she has no idea.
So I said to her, and I remember this so clearly. I said, Jackie has a lot of skills. She has the commitment level, and she has the passion, and she has the things that I can't teach her. As long as she keeps coming through, I can bet on me. I know we can get her. We can get her there.
Yeah.
And then you went through the whole JUCO thing.
Yeah.
And then like your path was a little different, like you said. Like you usually take the rough side of the mountain, but when you get there, it's like I made it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then as I was telling someone this morning about that, I was like, I'm having a podcast with one of my former students who is actually, her story is actually an inspiration because everybody thinks you have to go to Harvard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or you can't go JUCO. Like, girls will not go JUCO.
Yeah.
Okay, but crazy. that might be your path. You can still go into a 4-year program and still go on to become whatever you want to become. So tell us about that. Tell us about what is I want you to because here's the deal, right?
Yeah.
Especially in snobby Westchester, where people wouldn't dare go to a JUCO.
Yep.
You went the JUCO route.
Yep.
It didn't work out.
No,
you made the transition.
Yep.
Right? But you stayed with it.
Stay with it, yep.
When a lot of people would have probably quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember making the phone call to Michigan State and like, I'm like, you have to just trust me.
Let her come up.
Because I was betting on who I knew you were.
Yeah.
Like, I knew who you were. I can put my heart on the line for that.
100%.
So, but I want you to tell the story of what it's like when you're going a different route than everyone else. Not like you cared, but you probably didn't care, but maybe you did. I don't know. Tell us the story.
Yeah, I've been waiting years to tell this story. It's so funny. I'll tell it to you. Yeah, no. I treat a lot of softball players, and they always ask me, like, tell me about your story, and I will always tell them. And then I was the Texas Smokes chiropractor last year, and a lot of the girls wanted to know about me, and I would tell them too. So, but this is a really cool platform to tell this. So, I mean, I think I got on the right travel ball team my junior year. And at this time, you could verbal when you were in 8th grade. Now the rules are completely different. Mm-hmm. So that aspect of it was there too. So, I mean, I think my dream school was UConn at the time. Mm-hmm. I was doing whatever I can to get their attention, this. And I remember getting an email back saying, we're not looking for any more 2012s, but you could probably walk on if you wanted. I'm like, that really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just that. It was like from a couple other D1 schools, like, we're good, Jackie, but like walk on if you want, we'll talk about it. I was like, okay, like, no, but like, I can do this. Like, no, I can do this. Right. And sometimes you just need a little pain to be motivating towards you. Right. So, yeah, I didn't get the Division I scholarship right away, and it was very painful.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, you could literally sit in it, be sorry for yourself, or figure out a way to make your dreams become reality. Because I knew every single day, I'm like, no, I'm going to be at that top tier Division I program. I'm going to do it, and nobody's going to stop me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a full ride scholarship to go to a JUCO in Florida. And I remember the first day I showed up, I was the only girl that did the summer workout packet. And this was like a really good JUCO. And the thing is with going to JUCO route, I didn't really care what anyone thought. I was like, no, like, I'm going to go here for 1 or 2 years, and then this is what I'm going to do. And I wrote that down in my book every day. I had this little book. I'd write like my dreams, my visions, wrote things on posters, put them on the wall every morning when I wake up. Right. Yeah. I was like, no, like, this is not how my story is going out. I'm like, I'm going to make this happen. And it was probably like a little bit of an obsession too, but like sometimes that's how it is, how you got to do it to make your dreams become your reality. So I got a full ride scholarship to JUCO in Florida, a really good one. But still, like, I didn't even commit right away because I was waiting to hear from a couple schools. I think Villanova and St. Joe's were like, Jackie, you're great. Like, walk onto our team. And I'm like, well, it's no guarantee either, and like, and I always knew I wanted to pursue a passion, the health field, right? Mm-hmm. So I always tell this to a lot of my patients who are like trying to go to college and play ball or any sport. Go to a place that has what you want to major in, because like, you're not just going to go to college because you got a great scholarship, and like, what is the point of that? It's not something you want to do there, right? Mm-hmm. So I verbal to this school in Florida. I'll never forget it. It's clear as day to my mind this day, and it's been almost 14 years. I was the only girl that showed up who did the summer workout packet. We did a beach run. It was like a mile beach run. There was girls collapsing on the side. And I was like, okay, yeah, I kid you not. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you are a collegiate athlete. Yeah, it's wild. So I was like, okay, like, I think I have an idea what's gonna go on, but we'll see. And, I played it out. I did well, decent that year. But I was like, yeah, no, this is like, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to play good ball, and my roommate actually at the time, she played at another school, App State, and she transferred there because at the time, it wasn't that easy to transfer schools. The transfer portal wasn't a thing. So she went to the JUCO, and like, she was even telling me, she's like, dude, like, don't even try to, because I told her about like another JUCO that offered me a spot. She goes, no, don't even try. You're ready. Like, go. Like, you can do this. So that was really cool that she said that to me. So I get my release. I come back home. I talked to you a couple times. I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't it. I'm going to do it. But it's funny because my parents, at the whole entire time I come home, I move all my shit back. They think she's going to go to Westchester Community College for a couple semesters, at least maybe 1 semester, and then she'll figure it out. Like, she's probably not going to join the softball team, save her eligibility, right? So we're talking, like, you got me in contact with a couple coaches. And I go on like a visit or two to some of these Division I programs. And this is the best part, because this is the part that literally, if I didn't do this, my life would not be this way. We're talking, and I was like, I'm going to email Michigan State. I was just looking at their roster, and like, I have nothing to lose. This is the best part. I have absolutely nothing to lose. So I sent her that new video you and me filmed in the summer at 40 Sports right in Mayapack. I sent her the video, and I'm like contemplating like this. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. It might be embarrassing if I send this as like a freshman transfer. I'm going to do it. I closed my eyes, press the button, send. I saw this movie, and it talks about sometimes you just need 5 seconds of insane courage and you can do anything. That was the ballsiest thing I've ever done in my life. Coach Jackie Joseph, we have the same name. So funny. She emails me back. She goes, it's really funny that you're emailing me. I'm actually looking for another middle infielder. I was like, holy shit. So I text you hop on the phone with Coach Jay. And at the time, again, the NCAA is so different now. I had to go through a clearinghouse process. It doesn't even exist anymore, saying I didn't get paid to play ever. So we get approved, and I go up to Michigan, East Lansing, Michigan. Never been to Michigan. We're a New York girl. we stay on the state. Yeah. You talk to her today, you give her your lifeline. Like, you need to see this girl, right? Yeah. I go up, my mom and we fly to East Lansing, Michigan. Well, actually, Detroit. We rent a car, drive to East Lansing. And I joined their CrossFit camp for the day so she can see me play. And her and Coach Fobbs and Coach Beach they were all there, all the coaches. And, and all these girls were like, yeah, like, so like, how old are you? I'm like, I think I'm like 19 at the time. I'm like, oh, I'm 19. Like, what are you doing here? Like, oh, like, this is essentially like my tryout for like the Michigan State women's varsity softball team. So bottom line, like, she sees me field, we hit. She's like, Jackie, like, where's your mom? She goes, gets my mom, stalks my mom. Oh man, I cry. This is amazing. She talks to my mom. My mom pulled me over. She goes, okay, so this is what the scholarship money they have for you. Your father and I will pay the rest. Like my parents are really good savers. I had a college fund saved up that was going to pay for it. I had a good chunk of money they were going to give me. And my mom's like, do you want to go here? And I was like, absolutely. But it didn't hit me right away because and I go home and then they take me on I finally got a recruiting trip. So this is my recruiting trip. Nice. They take me to the Student Athlete Center. I meet all the advisors and things like that. Coach Jay comes along too. And it was funny, on the plane, there was actually a cheerleader that was at Michigan State. And she was like, she happened to just walk by. Mm-hmm. It was really funny. So Coach Jay was like, you're like telling this girl, I can't remember, her name is Haley, you're like the number, I should hire you as my like recruiting person. You already gave the tour. But I remember that so vividly because I went to the bookstore and I bought a t-shirt mm-hmm. and it still didn't hit me. But it finally hit me when I was in the hotel and I called you. I was like, guess what? I'm going to cry one second. I was like, Rob, guess what? I did it. I'm a Michigan State Spartan. And that's when it hit me. And then, oh my God, we did it. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. And you just keep grinding. You keep putting the work in. I love 23 and under ball was my favorite experiences too. And I remember coming back and Cassie Riley Boscia was my coach. That was so cool. Yeah. And she calls me over. She's like, "Yo, congratulations! Like, it has." I'm like, "It is." I did it. And that same feeling, I remember putting on the jersey for the first time mm-hmm. and just looking at myself and just smiling. I was like, I did it. Mm-hmm. And I remember my last game too. Mm-hmm. And I looked at myself one last time in the jersey. And actually, I read this in Cassie's book because she talked about it too. And she's like, honor yourself in your jersey one more final time. And I looked at myself and I was bawling, because it was a huge part of your life. I looked at myself one more final time and I was like, you know what, Jackie, you did it. You lived out this dream. Now it's time for the next. Mm-hmm. And I took my jersey off one more final time. I still have my cleats. They're in. I played slow pitch every couple of years, but it was such a full circle of everything because it could have been real easy to give up. And I don't know what my parents thought. It doesn't really matter. But it was like there was so much that went into it, so much struggle because again, nobody wants to go to the JUCO route. It's embarrassing for some people, but it was funny because I realized once I went the JUCO route, there was like 10 or 15 other softball players in Westchester County that started going the JUCO route too.
And I'm gonna tell you, for me to be able to tell your story, it's an inspiration to people that there's other ways to get where you want to get to.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be the route that you see everyone else to your right and to your left doing.
Yeah.
Because that's what most people do. They feel like they're comparing themselves to other people.
Yeah.
But you have to look at where you are and what are your circumstances. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that is to be commended because you had you took initiative. You became the CEO of your situation.
Yes.
And as a kid, like that's how scary that is for adults.
I can't even imagine.
Here you got a kid who's like doesn't even know what the heck's getting ready to happen, and you're like, I'm gonna shoot my video. I'm out. I'm leaving. You know how hard it is to leave. Yeah. People stay places. Yeah. People stay in abusive relationships. People stay in bad situations. Adults do this, but for a person of your age to be like, I'm out.
Right. And I remember some of my teammates are like, why would you just like give up a full scholarship? And I was like, I don't want to be miserable. Like it was that easy. And I was like, no, like I remember telling them, and some of the girls reach out to me every couple of years. But I just remember being like, no, like this isn't it. This isn't it for me. Like this is not my story. This is not like how I'm not meant to be here anymore.
Right.
That's the thing. I was meant to be at one point, but not anymore.
So and this is good, but now I want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty now.
I love it.
So why Austin, Texas? I would never imagine. How the heck did you end up in Austin, Texas?
So it's funny because the whole recruiting process, I literally relate this back to softball. There's no better feeling than being wanted, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, coach thinks I'm great. They want me to sign me. They want to give me this. It was during 2020. I was really close to being done with chiropractic school. Mm-hmm. And there was this amazing doctor that was coming to teach a course. I do kinesiology. I'm a chiropractic kinesiologist. So I do different types of chiropractic. Yeah. And this one amazing doc was coming, and my friend Phil was like, are you coming? I'm like, it was right when the world was shutting down. I had to go to my clinic at school to do some paperwork and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. He goes, come, don't be an idiot. Come, Jackie. So I come to this class. I'm like an hour late. That's not like me. I'm an on-time person, but I had to get some stuff done. I come, and he just sees me in there, and he's the one that told me this. He saw me, and we were like, workshopping, and he texted his wife. He goes, I want that girl to come work for us. And he was in Austin, so he reached out to me. I came down. It was like a little recruiting trip almost, to be honest. I went down and visited his practice for 2 days, shadowed him, and I was like, wow, like it's funny because from New York, like you think like the South and like Texas is a bunch of tumbleweeds, but like oh no, like Austin's like a legitimate city, and it's a cute city. It's great. So I end up going to do my internship with him for 2 months, and then he's like, I would love for you to come work here. So that's how I ended up there. So I worked there, because I thought about coming back to New York and like practicing eventually, maybe. And I really did think I have my New York State chiropractic license. I do practice sometimes there, but my home base is in Austin. So that's how I got to Austin. And I mean, I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had, and then the opportunities that came with it after that.
Okay, good. So, I think that healing is a gift. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've been around alternative medicine, alternative medical people, and I understand touch healing, and it's not just mechanical. I believe that there's an energy to it. There's an energy that's involved in it.
For sure.
And you've always had that aura and that energy around you since I could remember. You've always had that.
Yeah.
So for somebody to just get in a room with you and hear, feel your energy, like that's the beginning. And I'm very aware of my own energy as a teacher. It's not just what I'm saying; it's how I'm saying it.
100%. Yeah.
That influences the transformation that I have with my students, right? So it's the teaching gift, it's the healing gift, and I'm going through your Instagram, and it literally comes through the phone. Yeah, the magic comes through the phone. It really does.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
for
cool.
those who are out there at the end, I'm going to give you. We're going to list how you can get in touch with Jackie and how you guys can kind of check out what she's doing, and the way she does it. And the level that she's on at such a young age, I think it's, and I'm not surprised, but it's amazing though. So
thank you.
So I want to talk about some of the things you're doing because I went on your website. Very well done.
Thank you.
And also went to your Instagram page just to kind of see some of the stuff you're doing, and I want you to just break this down for us.
Yeah.
How do you? Because when someone says alternative medical services, right? If you can give us a quick breakdown of like, what does that mean? Because you have a quote. I'm before you start, I'm gonna read your quote.
Okay.
and then I'm gonna have you just expound.
Love it.
Okay. Quote: Our body has an amazing ability to heal, but it doesn't always have to look like the way you thought it would look.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what I do, I realized I wanted to be a chiropractor after my 5th year, essentially. And I went to chiropractic school to be just see 500 people a week. But I personally had my life change. I think you know about my allergies growing up. I'd be like dying when we were hitting, like, but essentially, I found a way where like I literally used to go anaphylactic during pollen season. I had an inhaler, and with the work that I got into, it's changed my life. So now I can do that for other people in so many ways. But for me, it wasn't taking Benadryl. It wasn't taking Zyrtec. It was I was actually really sensitive to gluten and dairy, and that was causing so much histamine in my body that anything that came into it would just attack inside, right? So for the first 22 years of my life, that was it. And then I did this, and I was like, wow, like I don't feel shitty anymore during pollen season. And that's when I realized, like, oh my God, it's so much more deeper than taking this pill or do this exercise, right, to fix your shoulder, right? It's so much deeper than that. Especially that quote. Oh man, I'm gonna put on some T-shirts and give it to my patients. I love it so much because it doesn't always look like the way you thought. Because what we think is, Western medicine today, and again, time and place for everything, but our body has this innate ability, so it can heal by itself if we do the right thing. So with holistic medicine and alternative medicine, it's literally just thinking outside the box just a little bit more and applying things a different way. So I do a lot of different techniques. So the one I did with my eye, I think I showed you that. You saw that one.
I saw that one.
Yeah, I literally my eye got infected, and I was like, well, I have this machine that I carry around with me. And it's really, I was like, oh, it's frequency based. Everything has a frequency from the air we breathe to the food we eat. And I was able to put inflammation in the eye, and it took it away like that. Right. So it's literally alternative medicine is just being able to think a different way. And it's a pretty beautiful thing. Right. But it's amazing because a lot of the people I see, it's they're on their last ends of something. It's like, I'm getting back surgery if this doesn't work. Or like, I work with a lot of kids on the ASD spectrum. So a lot of people want to medicate kids at a young age. And it's like, we don't know what to do. Like they can't focus in school, or they can't even go to school because their autism is so bad. And it's like, we're on our last end, but we're willing to try anything. And then once I talk with people and I explain, like, we've removed different foods. We test for different things. I do like blood, not in my office, but I send out for blood work, stool samples sometimes. I do a lot of emotional work with people too. It's called NET, neuroemotional technique. The athletes I treat, like from students to professionals, I do that with them, and it's huge because it's funny. It's never about failing. It's always about doing good. And that's something that I, as a former athlete myself, like, it was never, I'm so scared to fail. It's like, okay, like, how am I going to get better today? Or like, what if I don't hit this right? But it's pretty profound. Again, just thinking differently. So with alternative medicine, sorry, I go all around the rabbit hole with this. It's my favorite topic. It's amazing. Yeah. But I do with chiropractic kinesiology. It's just simply, it's a profound thing that, there's some of us who do that. It's not super well known to the public, but some people do, but it's really just, finding what's wrong. Let's just figure out how are we going to fix it, right? Utilizing the structure, our physical structure, to our chemistry and to our emotions as well. Those three things play everything of who we are as people. So it's figuring out how we're going to basically balance out the body in a different way.
So how are you, what's some of the things that you're doing that are preventative? With in terms of, I think it's a mind. As I'm listening to you, what I'm hearing you say is it's a mind body thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think so many people are it's body. And because you know how I am, even in hitting, I'm like, it's not movement. It's minds, it's thoughts. and then it's body. And it's being able to blend the two, or couple the two, right?
Yep.
So in your field of practice, related to the things that you've been exposed to as an athlete, if you can, I'm sure you can, and some of the preventative measures you're taking in terms of just mindset, because a lot of times it's mindset healing as well as the physical adjustments that you're making and the physical things that we're doing, whether it's herbal, whether it's I saw you aroma. You got the oils, and you got these different things going on. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So in terms of just preventative care, chiropractic adjustments are amazing. That's something I wish I had in college, period. Like, oh my God. And I do a lot of basic chiropractic too for anybody. But for mindset wise, I can relate back to this myself, man. I don't think any single college athlete has ever been like, oh yeah, like my mindset's great. Like I feel like I can go out and bat 1,000 today or hit 5 threes in a row. Right? So just like the mindset aspect, doing like the work I do, even if like someone's feeling really good, a lot of the times it's literally just having somebody in my office, connecting with them on the table, just asking someone how their day is, how are they feeling in this. It's basic conversation, and anybody can apply that. And that's what I've been finding. And I find that myself too, because I remember like going to my sports psychologist at Michigan State. And even if we were just like chatting about anything, I'd always feel better after and I'd always play decent. So just giving somebody a space to, it doesn't matter if they're an athlete or not, right? Just giving somebody a space to have that full 20 minutes with complete transparency with that person. And I'm very like, I was always very like energetically like in tune with my body and other people's bodies. So like I can like pick up on things on people and just be like, oh yeah, so tell me how this is. And they'll just instantly start crying. And it's not even like, and then, next thing they know, like, oh yeah, like my knee feels a lot better. Thanks. Or like, I can actually go to the bathroom today. So it's huge in terms of the mindset aspect of things. Just being able to connect with someone, and that's literally not all of it, then you want to go into different techniques through kinesiology. But if you just give somebody a safe place to heal or just to be able to be vulnerable, man, like you can just change lives like that. It's amazing. And that's something like as a former athlete, I wish I had in some ways, where I had my sports psychologist. He was amazing. And our athletic trainer, shout out to them. They double as psychologists too. They're great. They hear all your stuff. But I mean, the mind body connection in terms of like, if I were to just, even now, like if I get an adjustment in my back, my neck, some people will just start crying. I've cried in a good way, because you're just releasing so much tension. And then you go out throughout your day and you just do what you got to do. And it's pretty awesome. You just feel so much better. So in terms of like the mind body connection, that's it, period. It's pretty incredible. And that's just basic stuff.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate you sharing that. Because I think
No
I'm trying to, what I try to do on this podcast is I try to transcend sports.
I like that.
So it's sports, but we talk about everything. Because we're looking at it from the perspective of people who are involved in sports in various ways. And I love the idea of transcending it. And as I'm going to your website, I saw this. You had this quantum neurology.
Yes, quantum neurology.
I want to hear about that.
I love quantum neurology.
Okay, I want to hear about that because I also want to dig into. After that, I got another thing I got written down here, but I want to dig into quantum neurology. What is that? What is that? And see what you got. What you got for us?
Yeah. So quantum neurology, it's another technique. It's one of my favorite techniques, and the founder, Dr. George Gonzalez, is one of my favorite human beings, along with his wife and daughter. They're amazing. So quantum neurology is essentially, there's this whole field of chiropractic. And what I say is there's off branches of everything. So there's chiropractic and applied kinesiology. And I'm an applied kinesiologist. Dr. Gonzalez is a kinesiologist as well, along with as a chiropractor. But everything gets broken off even more, right? Because if we just leave something like one way, right, nothing's going to get better. So if we learn more things and we branch things off, that's when like healing starts, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So he created this amazing technique. Again, it's a mind body technique as well in some ways, but it's all about getting the nervous system rehabilitated. Nervous system rehabilitation is called, using red light therapy in order to get acupuncture meridians stimulated again, and different actions and movements in order to get literally the mind body connected again. It's something called myotone rehabilitation. So it's the actual muscle nerve connection. So getting that turned on to working on different cranial nerves and getting the cranial nerves, the sensations of the body. There's 9 different layers of sensation, such as light, touch, deep touch, pain, vibration. Getting all of that working together in order to achieve maximal, effectiveness of the body. It's incredible. And it's really simple technique to understand too. And it's just kind of just like, you pick up a phone, and it's a little fuzzy. And then all of a sudden the communication is clear. When it's just kind of like our camera issue we were having earlier, right? It's like, oh yeah, back online. It's about getting the brain body connection restored in a way that will just accelerate healing faster. You can do it with people who've had strokes, like Dr. Gonzalez and his wife, Lori. They have this whole series you can buy on their website, and they go through step by step with this guy. He happened to have a stroke. He was a police officer, and they rehabilitate him all the way back up where he just goes back to work.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's incredible. And I use it. There's a couple of my videos that you see me do it with, but there's in particular, I have one patient who has trigeminal neuralgia, which is like facial pain. That's insane. They call it the suicide disease because a lot of people take their lives, but a lot of people don't know that, if you go to a Western medicine doctor, they'll just give you like, nerve blockers, something like that. But instead of like, why is this happening? Right. So quad neurology, chiropractic, applied kinesiology, it's all about understanding, okay, why is something happen? How are we going to fix it? So what I do with this woman, it's like, okay, so I take my red light, it's called the GRT light. I shine in the back of the brain. That's where those nerves come out. And
I was going to ask you about I'm sorry. I was going to ask you about that red light stuff because I've been looking into that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. So it just gives extra penetration, right? Extra stimulus. So we get that back online, and literally you perform different actions. So this is what I would do. This is how you stimulate cranial 5. We're getting it back online, right? But it's not just that. It's like, okay, what else can be going on? So it could be correlated back to a nerve level. So your low back, I would check that with quad neurology by checking different myotones, different layers of sensation. So vibration or like pain, it's called the neurological pinwheel. I would just go like that on this lady. But it's all about thinking differently again. And thinking against the norm. And I think that's what's so cool about it. And it's such a simple concept to understand. It's like, okay, where's the problem, right? What do we have to do to fix it? And what you utilize is something called the manual muscle test. So you can do a straight arm muscle test, check specific muscles. But when something weakens, so if I'm like doing vibration over the face and it goes weak, it's like, okay, like, why is that weakening, right? So then you would stimulate it with using the red light, right, to get the body back online so it can sense that vibration. So a lot of times the nervous system is just overwhelmed, and it's just a way to calm it down so we can get the brain and the entire body connection restored. That's just one thing you can do with quad neurology. I know you're huge into eyes, the visual aspect, because that's what hitting is, right? Feeling everything's eyes. There's so much eye tracking. Like I have a video on my Instagram page that I did balance and eye movement with this one softball player. I do that with quad neurology too, and I apply it with different techniques, but it's amazing. And that's just it's a multitude of things you can do with it. But again, it's just about getting the neuro expression back online, the body, getting that brain body connection restored. And it's super simple, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Like I have people come in with like drop foot, and all it is just we have to restore that connection from where that nerve comes out to the bottom of the foot, and just performing that action over and over again by holding that spot while you're stimulating with an arthrostim. Did you see the little gun in my video? It's like da 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 da. That's what it sounds like. By the area and holding that spot, and all of a sudden it's like a aha moment for the body. It's like, oh, there you are again. So it's absolutely incredible. Oh my God.
As you were talking about the vision stuff earlier, we did a lot of vision during your high school career.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that I learned while working with you on vision because I still have. I don't know if you remember the balance stuff we did with the Bosu balls, with the medicine balls.
Yes, you texted me a couple months ago, and you're like, "I found someone who could do this too," right?
Right, because I had never found anybody that was as good at it as you were, in terms of like power differentials and understanding balance on both sides, and the legs being tripods and stabilization of the head and all that stuff in the eyes. And it's funny because when I do the test, or when I do the assessment, I always think about Jackie. I'm like, Jacquie Reiser was the best at this because she was doing some amazing things. I still don't know how you were doing that stuff. I was like, no one can do that. I've not met anybody yet. So I gotta find those videos and all those pictures. I have pictures and videos and send them to you. And it's, as you're talking, I was brought back to that, where we were doing all the stuff with that, and it was so much fun. Just what I learned about the importance of why we have to assess those things, because they're contributing to how our overall performance as athletes, and even if you're not an athlete, just regular day-to-day human performance, like going about your day, going to the grocery store, going to whatever, walking to throwing out the garbage, or vacuuming, or whatever you're doing, just regular day-to-day stuff. It's not only sports.
Oh no, yeah. And that's a big thing. Like I've learned too. It's like I work with so many different populations, and someone just wants to be able to look over their shoulder at their blind spot and make sure nobody's coming, right? But then the next person wants, to throw a rise ball at 75 miles an hour. Like how are you going to do it, right? And it's so many, and that was such a very like humbling experience for me too, because I remember coming out of chiropractic school and thinking, okay, I'm going to work with this person, this person, this person. I'm going to make this person better at their sport. But sometimes like the most rewarding people I've ever treated were, man, like the moms that tell me, my kid can actually sit still in class now because of you, or I can actually poop for the first time in 4 days. It's pretty amazing. And then the athletic population too is just as great. But it's amazing when we can think differently what happens, right?
Yeah, that's good. So I got one more thing. It's a burning question of mine right now.
Oh,
because I was intrigued by that FSM machine.
Yeah.
There was this machine you had on your video.
Yeah.
And is it reading frequencies?
Yes. So essentially what it is. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. So everything in the entire universe is a frequency. We're all frequency based. There's a specific frequency for air, like my shirt, this water bottle, right? So with my eye, I have another really good video I did on this little girl who burned her face on there, but particularly with my eye, I was like, okay, like my eye's infected, right? Don't know how, but like, let's fix it. So I literally put a patch here and here in the back of my head. So that with the current, it runs like this if it's going through my eye. So there's a specific frequency for inflammation. It's 40. So there's two channels, A and B, and 40. And I use the frequency for I can't remember what it is. I have an app on my phone that is all the frequencies. It's really cool. So that, and I ran Torn and Broken's another one's 124 in the I frequency. So all it is there's really cool research on it about how you go into the frequencies. The current runs into the cell, opens up this membrane, and penetrates it, but nobody cares about that. All it does, this is the simplest way to put it, it's able to speed up the healing process and rejuvenate tissue like that. And within like an hour, my eye was better. That could have took like 4 days. Someone would probably go to the urgent care, get antibiotics. Like it was gross. The picture wasn't doing justice. It was disgusting. So I use that machine, frequency specific microcurrent, on almost every single patient, because there's frequencies to calm down the nervous system. So a lot of people are super anxious these days. So there's frequencies to calm down the nervous system. I use it. People who sprain their ankle, I'll immediately put that on and I'll adjust the bone. It really hurts, but you got to do it. And then I'll put the microcurrent on, and within 2 days they're playing again. Wow. I use it on people after they have surgery to get the anesthesia out of their body. It's amazing. You can use it for a lot of different things. I use it to sleep at night too. That's the quote. That's from the founder of Frequency Specific Microcurrent, because she works with people who have CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, which is awful, awful disease to have. It's your whole body's in pain. Many people will take their own life because it hurts so bad. So she's created protocols for that. There's people post-stroke protocols. It's absolutely amazing. It's really popular in the athletic population too. Again, for pain. What was it? Terrell Owens in 2000 and something, he broke his fibula. It was a career-ending injury, and he slept in a hyperbaric chamber for about 2 weeks, had microcurrent on his leg for every single day, and then he was back playing in the Super Bowl like a month later, and people couldn't figure out why. No, I'm not.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because
so that's
nobody
why.
could believe it.
No one could believe it. And then nobody would give Dr. Carol McMakin credit for it. And then when he went into the Hall of Fame, he's like, the first person he thanked was her. Yeah, nobody could believe it. And that's why. Because it's literally, it speeds up the healing process, but it speeds it up correctly. Because there's so many phases of healing in terms of regeneration of tissues, tissue breakdown, scar tissue formation, but it speeds it up in the correct manner where it's not overstepping layers, if that makes sense.
So the machine assesses your current frequency.
No, so essentially what you do, I usually bring it with me. I don't have it here, but you type in channel A and B. You type in channel A is the what you're affecting. Channel B is the tissue. I think so. At the top of my head, but you actually type in the specific frequency. So it has a little thing you type it in. So I'd be 40 for the condition, inflammation, and the tissues channel B would be, okay, muscle or nerve is 396. So inflammation in the nerve. And you type it in yourself. So a lot of people think they can just go buy them. You need a practitioner to buy them for you and to teach you how to use it. But yeah, it's just basically it's frequency specific, because there's a lot of devices that have microcurrent in them, but they don't actually it's not the same. It has to be frequency specific. Yeah. Oh my God, it's been the most it's insane. I had used it on a little girl who burned her face. She had a second-degree burn. She looked over her mom's steamer. She thought it was off, and it wasn't. And they went to the hospital first, and her mom texted me. She goes, "Is there anything you can do?" I'm like, "Yeah, I actually have an idea, but this was my kind of when I was still learning how to do it." But I was like, well, got nothing to lose. Carol McMakin, Dr. McMakin, she always says, it can't hurt, might help, right? It's not going to make anything worse. And I had her lay with it. They brought it home, did it for 4 days. By Monday, it was not 90, but 60% better. They went to the plastic surgeon, and they're like, I don't know what you did. I've never seen anything heal this quickly. She was going to get a skin graft on her face, and she didn't have to.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I got to actually present the case at the symposium last year. But again, it's just this amazing ability to think differently, right? That, you don't always have to go to the traditional route. It's not always what you thought it would be. And I think that kind of goes with my story too. As an athlete, it's not what you thought it would be. And now my profession's the same thing. So it's really cool.
I love it. I love it so much.
Awesome.
This is great. I'm extremely, extremely proud of you.
You're the best, Rob.
And no, really, I am. And you're not just a regular old chiropractor either. You're really, really doing some special things within that, which obviously we're not shocked. But I wanna ask you, for my listeners, and how can they reach out? How can they get in touch with you? How can somebody fly in to get some treatment? I'm sure I have people that are going to want to fly into Austin to get treatment. I'm sure you already have that going on, but I know my audience. I know my people. How can they get in touch? How can they follow? How do we get to Jacquie Reiser, Dr. Jacquie Reiser?
Yeah. So I have my own domain. It's drjacquiereiser.com. But also I have an email. It's JacquieReiserDC@gmail.com. But the best way you can access all of that is on my Instagram page. I have a whole link tree with everything in it. And it's just Dr. Jacquie Reiser, but it's JACQUIE. You'll probably put my name up. A lot of people do the K, and I'm like, that's not right.
I'm going to have all this in the show notes too, just in case anybody is driving and you listen to the podcast. Don't drive and try to write it down. I'll have it in the show notes. Right, we'll have you in the show notes, and we'll get everything. Get you all the information.
I love it. Yeah, that's the best way get in touch with me.
Thank you so much. So Jacquie, it's been great. It's been an honor and a privilege to be able to have. I think you might, like I said, I think you might be my first former student. I don't know.
I made it.
But I have so many former students that are doing so many amazing things. I gotta do this more.
That's cool.
So you guys can inspire some people out there, because your story is truly inspiring. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I know you got somewhere to go, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do next.
I love it.
But I appreciate you coming on. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
No problem.